ratnih vođa, bitaka, do izuma. Ratovanje je oblikovalo naše živote. Unaprijedile su ga tehnološke inovacije. I vojnici gurnuti do ruba. Utrka za taktičkom prednošću često je odlučujući čimbenik u ratu.
There's always a technological race in warfare.
Sophisticated new technology. Development of the first computers.
Technology has massively changed the face of warfare in the 20th century.
Ova serija prikazuje i rangira najpoznatija i najutjecajnija obilježja ratovanja s inovacijama koje su promijenile pravila igre i obuzeli ljudsku maštu te u kritičnom trenutku promijenile odnos snaga. Ovo je top lista odlika modernog ratovanja. U ovom ćemo nastavku vidjeti najbolje tenkove i oklopna borbena vozila, te ih rangirati prema tehnološkoj inovativnosti, vatrenoj moći, slavnom statusu i općenitom utjecaju na pobjedu u ratu.
What tanks can bring to the battlefield is, in static warfare, it can bring mobility, and it can bring speed on the battlefield.
They can provide reconnaissance, they can provide support to the infantry, and the ability to suddenly project a lot of firepower into a small space in a very quick time.
It's got a look about it as well, a force about it. Tanks look like they mean business.
Na 10. mjestu naše ljestvice Tenk koji je saveznicima osigurao pobjedu. Sjeverna Afrika 1942. Savezničke snage borile su se u pustinji protiv afričkog korpusa, postrojbe osovijskih sila specijalizirane za pustinju.
The Africa Corps go in with the idea to race across North Africa, capture Egypt, shut down the Suez Canal. That's the whole idea.
Njemci su imali divizije tenkova Panzer i potporu iz zraka. Britanska se 8. armija mjesecima povlačila.
British 8th Army is forced to retreat and falls back in disarray across the bulk of the Western Desert.
U listopadu 1942. obje su se strane pripremali za odlučujuću bitku. Da bi imali ikakvu šansu za uspjeh, saveznici su trebali novo oružje. Tada se pojavio prvi tank na našoj ljestvici, M4 Sherman. Broj članova posade 5. Težina u borbi 31,5 tona, maksimalna brzina 40 km/h. Osnovno naoružanje 75 mm top.
The Sherman, we've got to look at it as right up in the top of the list of the most iconic tanks of all time.
Kad je počeo Drugi svjetski rat, SAD je kasnio za drugim narodima u pogledu razvoja tenkovske tehnologije. No do 1942. proizveli su ovo, Shermanova prethodnika, Tenk M3 Grand.
Here's a new American tank, the first delivered by a famous motor car firm of Detroit. It's another step forward in democracy's bid for mechanical supremacy.
No pitanje je bilo hoće li američki tank moći zaustaviti snažnu njemačku ofenzivu. Iako su ga proizveli Amerikanci, Sherman je na bojištu prvo upotrijebila britanska vojska.
The British received a couple of hundred of brand new American Shermans straight off the production line, shipped out to North Africa.
Saveznici su mjesecima gubili u pustinskom ratu, potiskivali su ih njemački brzi i dobro naoružani tenkovi Panzer III. No, saveznicima nisu samo panceri bili problem, nego i njemački protutenkovski topovi.
Up until the end of 1942, what the British tank cruiser lacked was a weapon which was capable of firing a high explosive round.
the British tanks were only able to fire a solid shot round. When the 75mm gun on the Sherman was brought in, things changed. The Sherman tank came as something of a surprise to the Germans when they first encountered it.
Tenkovi Sherman imali su veću vatrenu moć i bili su brzi.
The British tank crews loved them. They frankly loved the Sherman. It was for the first time a tank which was highly mobile, very reliable, simple to maintain, and had an effective 75mm medium velocity weapon.
Listopad 1942. El Alamein, Egipat. Dok je Njemcima nedostajalo zaliha, a saveznici su raspolagali s 200 Shermana, počela je ključna bitka za Sjevernu Afriku. Nakon 3 tjedna, saveznici su slavili pobjedu.
They do make a difference in the desert battles because not only compared to the British vehicles, which were tremendously unreliable, the Sherman seems to be a reliable vehicle, and that is fantastic. The British thought the Sherman was a wonderful innovation.
Nekoliko mjeseci poslije sile osovine potpuno su slomljene u Sjevernoj Africi i svi su se usredotočili na Europu. Godine 1944. Sherman će ponovno biti upotrijebljen, no ovaj put u desantu na Francusku. Dotad se broj tih tenkova znatno povećao.
The American army went from very few hundred tanks to well over 60,000 were made by the end of the war. You're looking at huge production.
No, jedan je veliki nedostatak u Shermanovom dizajnu izašao na vidjelo.
Caught on fire too easily. That was blamed on some of the petrol engines. In fact, it was the fact that the tank could be penetrated relatively easily and it started ammunition fires.
Unatoč tom potencijalno smrtonosnom nedostatku, Shermanova snaga bila je ključna za ratovanje. Amerikanci su mu poboljšali ovjes i unaprijedili oklop, dok su ga Britanci opremili većim topom. Do 1944. Njemci su također proizveli naprednije tenkove, Panter i Tiger, no zahvaljujući brojčanoj premoći Sherman ih je nadvladao i zauzima 10. mjesto na našoj ljestvici. Slijedi pionirski tenk iz Prvog svjetskog rata. Zapadno bojište 1915. Vojske s obje strane vodile su težak pozicijski rat. Između njihovih rovova bio je opasan teren zvan ničija zemlja. Saveznički zapovjednici tražili su nove načine da steknu prednost.
How do we get across no man's land? There's barbed wire, there's bolt-action rifles, machine guns, there's artillery firing. What can we do? How can we get across?
The answer to that problem, they think, could be with a mechanical vehicle.
Stoga su saveznici počeli eksperimentirati s oklopnim rješenjem.
War is a fantastic catalyst of change and invention, and the very brightest and most practical men sort of start working on it, and they come up with the idea of using tracks rather than wheels, and then they push that through, put some armour on it, a couple of guns, a couple of machine guns, and there you have it.
And that's why the tank comes, is to help bring mobility back on that First World War battlefield.
Najučinkovitiji tenk iz Prvog svjetskog rata zauzima 9. mjesto naše ljestvice. To je Mark 1. Broj članova posade 8. Težina u borbi 28,5 tona. Maksimalna brzina 5,9 km/h. Sposobnost prelaženja rova širokog 3,5 metra.
Think of it like a big mobile battering ram. It's the stealth bomber of its day. It's a cutting-edge technology. So there is an enormous wow factor about the tank.
Tenkovi su u borbi prvi put upotrijebljeni 15. rujna 1916. u bitki na Somi.
It's fair to say nobody quite knew what to do with them. Nobody knew what their capabilities were. It was a brand new form of warfare.
What's the tactics? Do you leave a gap in the artillery barrage for them or not? Do they go at the same time as the troops? Do they go in front of them or behind them? How do you use them?
Zbog slabe taktike i mehaničkog zatajivanja Mark 1 nije mnogo utjecao na bitku na Somi. No do sljedeće godine saveznici su unaprijedili stratešku upotrebu tenkova. U bitki za Cambrai 1917. saveznici su krenuli u napad naprednom verzijom Marka 1, bio to Mark 4. Ti su tenkovi imali deblji oklop i iznenadili su Njemce. Probili su im obranu duž 5 km, što je omogućilo vojnicima da navale u velikom broju.
There was a horror of the tank. The Germans suffered from something they call themselves tank fright. There is a fear factor about a tank coming towards you, and there are accounts of Germans simply dropping their weapons and running.
Premda su Njemci proizveli samo 20 tenkova tijekom rata, rabili su i oduzete britanske tenkove. Što se tiče saveznika, Mark 1 proglašen je pobjedonosnom inovacijom. Ubrzo su uslijedili drugi tenkovi, uključujući francuski Renault FT-17.
What's remarkable about the tank is very quickly they realise they can do more things with it and that they can exploit it and exploit its use on the battlefield more than just being the battering ram. So by the end of the First World War, we've actually got in service, or they're designing and building, pretty much every type of tank that the modern armies of the world use today.
Prvi borbeni tenk u povijesti, Mark 1, na 9. mjestu naše ljestvice. Slijedi inovativno oklopno borbeno vozilo. Siječanj 1991. Zaljevski rat. Vojska Sadama Huseina okupirala je Kuvajt 5 mjeseci prije. Koalicijske snage reagirale su pokretanjem ofenzive. Počela je zračnim bombardiranjem. A zatim su krenule kopnene snage. U sklopu operacije Granby, britanski tenkovi Challenger napali su iračke položaje. U ofenzivi je uništeno više od 300 neprijateljskih tenkova, a uz Challengere bilo je još jedno oklopno borbeno vozilo. To nije bio borbeni tenk, ali imao je potrebnu brzinu i vatrenu moć da pruži ključnu potporu pješaštvu. I na 8. mjestu naše ljestvice, to je Warrior. Težina pod punim opterećenjem 28 tona, maksimalna brzina 75 km/h, osnovno naoružanje 30 mm top.
The Warrior infantry fighting vehicle was a game changer for the British infantry.
It has a presence, it has firepower.
Warrior je pružao potporu pješaštvu u Zaljevskom ratu, no igrao je ključnu ulogu u mirovnim operacijama diljem svijeta.
It's a very, very flexible weapon to be used in peacekeeping operations. It only weighs in at around about 30 tons, so it's half the size of a main battle tank. It looks like a tank, and there's an important point in peacekeeping operations. If something looks like a tank, it is a tank.
Warrior je prvi put upotrijebljen u 80-ima i glavna mu je zadaća bila siguran prijevoz ljudstva. Mogao je prevesti 3 člana posade i 7 vojnika, no ubrzo je naoružan kako bi pružao izravnu vatrenu potporu.
It now had a 30mm gun, capable of destroying enemy light armour, and a 7.62mm chain gun.
So the soldiers can not only fight from inside it, it can deliver firepower on the battlefield as well as being that delivery vehicle for the guys in the back.
Warrior je imao vatrenu moć, ali bio je i brz.
In the 100 hours of the First Gulf War, the Warriors have got a very powerful engine and a pretty good suspension system, and that meant they were able to move across the desert at speed and deliver the infantry to where they needed to be.
Borbeno oklopno vozilo Warrior na 8. mjestu naše ljestvice. Sljedeći je iskusni borbeni stroj hladnog rata. Nakon drugog svjetskog rata Sovjetski savez utrkivao se sa Zapadom u razvoju najmoćnijih oružanih snaga na svijetu.
This is why they have the big parades in Red Square and all the rest of it, to show the peoples of the Soviet Union, but to also show the peoples of the world that this is a country that is powerful, that has lots of rockets, lots of artillery pieces, vast numbers of tanks, huge numbers of men, and that anyone who tries to take them on does so at their peril.
Rusija je proizvela impresivnu seriju borbenih tenkova koji će se proizvoditi najviše na svijetu. I oni su na 7. mjestu. T-54-55. Maksimalna debljina oklopa 205 mm, maksimalna brzina 50 km/h, osnovno naoružanje 100 mm top, težina u borbi 36 tona. U 50. godinama 20. stoljeća ruski T-54 i njegova kasnija inačica T-55 proizvođeni su kad se hladni rat usijao.
These were items that were going to be used in huge tank attacks on a grand scale.
They saw it as an offensive weapon, not as a defensive weapon.
Serija T-54-55 zamjena je za legendarni tank T-34, koji osigurao Rusima pobjedu protiv nacističke Njemačke.
Had a development of the V2 500 horsepower diesel engine that had been used in the T-34, but uprated, but still quite a simple design, using pretty much the same suspension system and track system as used on the T-34.
Osim mehanike, unaprijeđen je još jedan ključni aspekt, njegova vatrena moć.
It featured a new, much more impressive, much more powerful 100mm gun in a 3-man turret. So we have the commander, the gunner, and the tank loader all in the turret. So in many ways it was a conventional design.
Sovjetski savez namjeravao je proizvesti najveći tank u povijesti i serija T-54-55 dizajnirana je za masovnu proizvodnju. Jednostavni su za upotrebu i mogu se jeftino proizvesti, te su te sovjetske tankove proizvodile i druge države svijeta. Rabila ih je vojska Sjevernog Vijetnama i prodavani su vojskama na Bliskom istoku. U Africi su imali ključnu ulogu u mnogobrojnim sukobima. A 2003. rabile su i ženske tenkovske posade u Iraku. Do danas ih je proizvedeno više od 95.000.
The position of the T-55 in the history of tanks is quite secure. It is the most produced tank in history.
Serija T-54-55 na 7. mjestu naše top liste tenkova. No sljedeći na ljestvici superiorni hladnoratovski stroj.
Technology has massively changed the face of warfare in the 20th century. But what has also happened is that every time one side makes an advance, and this is true not just in the 20th century but throughout history, the other side then catches up.
U Vijetnamu 1968. Američke su se postrojbe suočile s nepoznatim terenom i neprijateljem ličnim taktikama gerilskog ratovanja. Premda neprijatelj imao prednost u džungli, nije imao mnogo oklopa, Kad su se australske postrojbe uključile u rat, donijeli su sa sobom Tenk, koji je pješaštvu osigurao ključnu zaštitu. Na 6. mjestu naše ljestvice britanski Centurion. Maksimalna brzina 34 km/h. Težina 44,4 tone. Osnovno naoružanje 84 mm top. Sekundarno naoružanje strojnica Browning kalibra 7,62.
The Centurion tank was without a doubt the most successful tank that Britain has ever produced.
Centurion je proizašao iz lekcija naučenih u borbama protiv njemačkih oklopnih divizija u Drugom svjetskom ratu.
But unfortunately, the first few examples of it arrived in Europe a couple of days after the war ended. But that didn't stop it being successful despite its lack of combat experience in World War II.
Koreja 1951. Britanske postrojbe opremljene tenkovima Centurion podupirale su UN u obrani glavnog grada Seula.
From dawn to dusk, by means of pontoon ferries, scores of tanks and hundreds of other heavy vehicles are carried across the river in preparation for a big offensive. Destination Pyongyang, the North Korean capital.
Centurion, tank teškog oklopa, ali brz, imao je isti modificirani Rolls-Royceov motor kao i lovački zrakoplov Spitfire, što mu je osiguralo maksimalnu brzinu 34 km/h.
It was such a good, balanced design of the three attributes of a modern tank: firepower, protection and mobility, that it remained in service for over 20 years with the British Army and was exported widely throughout the world.
Nakon Koreje, Centurion je sudjelovao u nekoliko velikih sukoba 20. stoljeća.
The Centurion goes on to be sold to 13 countries around the world. In the British Army it sees service in Korea, sees sterling service there, the Australians use it in Vietnam, and famously it's used by the Indian Army against the Pakistan Army in 1965.
Technically, it's quite a simple tank to use. You can teach a person to be a tank gunner, a tank loader or a tank driver in a few days.
Centurion je u upotrebi više od 6 desetljeća i taj glavni borbeni tank najdulje se upotrebljava. Na 6. mjestu naše ljestvice. Stigli smo do prvih 5 mjesta top liste tenkova. Dosad smo vidjeli tank koji je osigurao saveznicima pobjedu. Prva oklopna vozila koja su sudjelovala u ratu. I najdugovječniji glavni borbeni tank. Još nas čekaju druga inovativna oklopna vozila, te najbolji tank u povijesti. No, sljedeća je najslavnija serija tenkova Drugog svjetskog rata. Na početku rata, Njemačka je uspješno rabila tenkove kao mehanizirane bojne glave kako bi probila savezničku obranu.
We look back on it and we almost buy into the German propaganda of the time, which is lots of tanks, lots of air power, when in fact, describing the German army as a spear, it's only the head of the spear is actually armoured. There is very few German tanks in the German army at the time. They just use them to fantastic effect in 1940.
Na 5. su mjestu naše ljestvice njemački panceri od 1 do 5. Najbrži Panzer 5 ili Panter 55 km/h. Broj tenkova Panzer 1 1939 više od 1500. Ukupan broj proizvedenih pancera tijekom rata više od 44.000. Nakon Prvog svjetskog rata Njemačkoj je zabranjena proizvodnja tenkova. No kad je Adolf Hitler 1933. došao na vlast, počela je masovna proizvodnja. Führer je smatrao oklopna vozila ključnima za svoj plan osvajanja Europe.
He sees a parade of tanks and he says, that's what I want, that's what I've got to have. Because he sees they've got this great propaganda value as well as being a fighting vehicle.
Njemačka je ubrzo proizvela inovativnu seriju tenkova. Panzer 1 imao je tanak oklop i bio je velik kao današnji prosječan obiteljski automobil. Bio je naoružan 2 strojnicama, težio je 5,4 tone i imao mjesta za samo 2 osobe. Panzer 2 bio je veći i imao je mjesta za još jednog člana posade. Težio je 10 tona i imao je dodatni automatski top.
They are very good, very reliable, well-built tanks.
Premda su dizajnirani za obuku, a ne borbu, imali su ključnu ulogu na bojištu. Godine 1939. Hitlerova je vojska napala Poljsku. U to vrijeme njemački inženjeri još su usavršavali prve borbene tenkove, pa su panceri 1 i 2, kao i zapljenjeni češki tenkovi, bili glavne snage za napad. Unatoč tankom oklopu i slaboj vatrenoj moći, brzina tenkova pridonijela je uspješnoj invaziji. No, ti laki tenkovi bili su samo prva faza planiranih borbenih modela koji će uslijediti.
Panzer I and Panzer IIs are really training tanks to get the army used to the idea of tanks. They spend a long time designing and perfecting the Panzer III and Panzer IV tanks.
Njemačka je 1940. napala Francusku. Stotine novoproizvedenih pancera 3 i 4 uvršteni su u oklopne snage.
Their mobility against a very immobile French army is stunning. All of a sudden, they're miles behind the French front line. They head to the coast. They cut off supply dumps. They seed dissent within the French ranks. The French are retreating from the Meuse River with the fear of tanks before the first German panzer is even crossed. So they have a dramatic effect on the campaign in 1940. At the time, actually, everyone was stunned.
Panzer III predvodio je invaziju, bio je veći i teži od ranijih modela i namijenjen uništavanju neprijateljskih tenkova.
The Panzer III has a high velocity gun. It can fire a round of solid shot with a lot of force behind it to smash its way into an enemy tank.
Dok je Panzer III agresivno napadao neprijatelja, Panzer IV bio je opremljen težim topom za potporu pješaštvu, te se mogao i lakše modificirati.
What made the Panzer IV special was the fact that it could be developed through a series of upgrades to keep it one step ahead of the British armour. It's very significant in the history of armoured warfare because it proved what you can do with a successful basic design and how you can turn it into something that it was never intended to be. It started off life as really an infantry support tank with a low velocity 75mm gun on it. By 1943 it was being used as one of the German main battle tanks.
Njemci su imali još jednu tehnološku inovaciju koju francuski tenkovi nisu imali – radiokomunikaciju.
It was their ability to move at speed and to be able to communicate with each other, which was really crucial. So German tanks and German artillery had radios with which they could communicate and maneuver very, very swiftly.
Njemačka nastojanja da proizvedu najbolji borbeni tank nisu tu stala i 3 godine poslije proizveden je Panzer V ili Panter. Od 1941. Njemci i Rusi sukobljavali su se duž istočnog bojišta, a 1943. Panter je upotrijebljen u borbi protiv sovjetskih tenkova. No njegovi mehanički nedostaci još nisu bili riješeni i tenkovi su se pokazali nepouzdanima na bojištu.
Key new weapons such as the Panther tank have been rushed into service. The Germans don't really have a chance, and so it proves. And after 5 days of battle, it's all over.
Kako se bližio kraj rata, proizvodnja pancera usporila se i saveznici koji su imali sve više tenkova stekli su prednost. No, unatoč konačnom porazu, njemački panceri od 1 do 5 zaslužuju 5. mjesto na našoj ljestvici. Slijedi inovativno oklopno vozilo. Kad se Amerika uključila u Vijetnamski rat, vojska je morala sigurno prevoziti vojnike kroz neprijateljsko područje. Rješenje je bilo vozilo koje se temeljilo na desetljećima razvoja tenkova, te se odlikovalo dizajnom oklopa i kupola prijašnjih tenkova. Razlika je bila u tome što ovo vozilo nije bilo namijenjeno za napade.
We would refer to it as a battlefield taxi. It's designed to get you from somewhere behind the lines up to close to the battlefront with a degree of protection.
Na četvrtom je mjestu M1 Prvi put upotrijebljen 1960. Maksimalna brzina 60 km/h. Kapacitet 11 vojnika, vozač i zapovjednik. Domet 320 km.
It's basically a metal box on tracks. They're not very comfortable inside, I can tell you. You get rattled around in them, but it does give you a certain amount of reassurance that you're not going to get damaged on the way up to the battlefront.
M1 dizajniran je da zaštiti američke pješake od paljbe iz ručnog oružja dok ih vozi u središte borbe.
So they designed the M113 to put the soldiers in the back, about 11 soldiers could be carried, commander of the vehicle and a driver in the front, and they take them forward under protection to where the fighting is. Then the soldiers debus, finish the attack on foot.
Ovo inovativno vozilo za prijevoz ljudstva imalo je lagan aluminijski oklop i moglo je postići brzinu od 60 km/h, čak i na neravnom terenu. No, ubrzo je M1 dobio i ofenzivnu ulogu.
The interesting thing with the M113, when it went into service, they actually used it as an attack vehicle. They put machine guns on the top of it, and it became an infantry fighting vehicle rather than just an infantry personnel carrier.
Nakon Vijetnama, M1 upotrijebilo je više od 60 država i prilagođen je za različite uloge.
The M113 is one of those vehicles that's going to be seen around the world in so many armies for decades to come.
M1 proizveden u 80.000 primjeraka, zauzima 4. mjesto naše ljestvice. Slijedi najveći strah i trepet iz Drugog svjetskog rata. Srpanj 1943. Kursk, Rusija. Njemačka je napala Crvenu armiju u najvećoj tenkovskoj bitki Drugog svjetskog rata.
The Russians, right up to the eve of battle, are building monstrous defences all around that Kursk salient. There are up to 7 lines, defensive lines, defending it, each of which are riddled with mines, wire, gun emplacements and vast amounts of firepower.
No, unatoč ruskim pripremama, jedan njemački tank bio je gotovo nezaustavljiv.
Because of its invulnerability to most of the standard anti-tank guns of the time, they could attack in places knowing that their levels of protection were such that they were almost invulnerable to enemy anti-tank fire.
Bio je to najmoćniji tank koji je Njemačka proizvela i na 3. je mjestu naše ljestvice. Tiger. Broj članova posade 5, težina u borbi 58 tona, osnovno naoružanje 88 mm top, maksimalna brzina 38 km/h.
The power of the Tiger, it's there to be seen. No wonder the commanders always have this sort of arrogant pose when they're up in the turret there. You know, you've got this huge great monster with an 88mm gun on it. A very, very powerful machine.
Tiger je bio najteže njemačko oklopno vozilo dotad, s težinom od gotovo 60 tona pod punom opremom. Glavna mu je svrha bila uništavanje neprijateljskih tenkova.
So what they decided to do was to build a heavily armoured tank with the biggest gun that they could put on it. An 88mm tank gun developed from an anti-aircraft weapon that was, in so many ways, the most effective tank gun mounted during the whole of the Second World War.
Tigerov snažni top mogao je probiti neprijateljski oklop.
It could knock out an Allied vehicle at around about 2 kilometers, and in those days that was utterly phenomenal.
Njemačka izvješća tvrdila su da je Tiger uništio više od 500 neprijateljskih tenkova samo u bitki kod Kurska. Oklop mu je bio debel 10 cm.
You are supremely well protected, as well as having this enormous capacity for doing damage to the enemy at ranges they can't hope to hit you at.
No, ta razina zaštite imala je visoku cijenu. Motor se mučio pod velikom težinom tenka i bio je sklon kvarovima.
The early campaigns, quite a number of Tiger tanks are actually blown up by crews because they're so big and heavy, when they break down, they've got nothing to recover the tank with, and rather than letting them fall into enemy hands, they end up destroying them. It's a secret weapon, they're supposed to.
Iako je osmišljen za ofenzivnu ulogu, Tiger će poslije imati ključnu defanzivnu ulogu u posljednjem velikom njemačkom obračunu sa saveznicima. Srpanj 1944. Normandija, Francuska.
The Tiger was very significant during the Battle of Normandy and led to something that was christened amongst the Allied crews as Tiger Terror. Tank crews who were coming up against the German tanks were being knocked out at ranges that they simply couldn't imagine.
Njemački su zapovjednici postavili Tigere na mjesta na kojima su pritajeno čekali saveznike.
The British realised that the only way that they could deal with the Tigers in known positions was to use air power, and particularly even the use of heavy bombers, Lancasters and the like, to pound them from above before putting the armour from the British side up against them.
Iako je Tiger bio veoma učinkovito oružje, imao je jedan velik nedostatak.
One of the problems of the Tiger is quite simply its massive cost and the time it takes to build. The German army just can't get enough Tiger tanks from the factory, and they are hugely expensive.
Budući da je tijekom rata proizvedeno samo 1300 Tigera, mnogobrojnije savezničke tenkovske snage odnijele su konačnu pobjedu. No, Tiger je bio najveći strah i trepet među tenkovima.
It, in terms of all the tanks ever produced, has got a unique place. There is a mystique involved about the Tiger in the way that there is a mystique involved about a Spitfire for aircraft.
Na trećem je mjestu naše top liste tenkova Tiger. Slijedi najnapredniji tenk na našoj ljestvici. 26. veljače 1991. Zaljevski rat. Američki 7. korpus sukobio se s iračkom republikanskom gardom u bici nazvanoj 73 Easting. Amerikanci su imali manje tenkova, no imali su tehnološku prednost nad iračkim tenkovskim divizijama.
The Iraqi T-62s, T-55s were a generation behind. Old-fashioned engines, much less powerful guns, radios that probably didn't always work.
Bitka je završila za samo 23 minute.
The Iraqis were absolutely decimated by the superior Western tanks that they came up against.
Na drugom je mjestu naše top liste tenkova američki omiljeni tank M1 Abrams. Maksimalna brzina 67 km/h, težina u borbi 56,7 tona, maksimalni domet 442 km, osnovno naoružanje 120 mm top.
The M1 is an epitome of a modern battle tank.
They are frightening beasts. You can hear them moving around. You hear the clank of the tracks, the rumble and roar of the engines from miles and miles away.
M1 Abrams, ili samo M1, bio je kulminacija nekoliko desetljeća razvoja nove tenkovske tehnologije. Prvi je put proizveden 1978. ali tek je 13 godina poslije iskušan u borbi.
In the Gulf War, the M1 Abrams proved far superior to the Iraqi tanks that it was up against.
Ti američki borbeni strojevi uništili su 2000 iračkih tenkova. I, zahvaljujući svom oklopu, nijedan tank nije stradao od neprijateljske vatre.
It's got superb protection. The secret chopper armor really does protect the crew inside.
Vjeruje se da je oklop napravljen od keramičkih materijala koji mogu apsorbirati toplinu i fizičke udarce. Pokazao se neprobojnim za neprijateljske tenkovske granate i većinu raketa.
When you have something that big and heavy with that much firepower and you can see RPGs bouncing off the front armor as you fire it at it, it's terrifying to see something like that.
M1 ima još jedan način da zaštiti svoju posadu. Taj tank može postati nevidljiv.
On the modern battlefield, one of the things, of course, we've got to remember now is many people are sighting on you with new systems, such as thermal imaging. We see a heat signature, what warmth is coming out of that vehicle. So again, some modern tanks actually have systems, and the M1 has got one that it can apply to it, where it actually cools area of the tank, so that when you look at it, it doesn't look like a tank anymore.
M1 se borio uz britanski Challenger u zaljevskom ratu i nisu slučajno slični. Saveznici su surađivali u proizvodnji ovih neviđenih borbenih strojeva. M1 može brzo prijeći impresivne udaljenosti, ali tako težak tank ima jednu veliku manu, veoma žedan motor.
It's fast, and on top of the sort of rumble and genuine earth-shaking just weight of the thing, you've also got the whine of the gas turbine, you've got that sound of power. It doesn't growl like a more traditional tank. It sounds almost futuristic. The problem is, you in effect fight with one foot in the petrol station and one foot on the battlefield, because there's such a demand for fuel for that big gas turbine engine.
Najnaprednija tehnologija jamči da je ovo najsofisticiraniji tank u povijesti. Ima čak i računalni sustav za upravljanje vatrom.
It's got tremendous firepower, so a 120mm gun that can fire very, very accurate at a target out to 3, maybe even 4 kilometers away.
Its gun is highly accurate, extremely powerful and long-ranged, and it also crucially has remote weapon stations, so remote control machine guns or automatic grenade launchers mounted on top of the turret so that the crew can engage light targets without exposing themselves.
Što je najvažnije, računalni sustavi mogu se ažurirati da uvijek budu u tijeku s razvojem ratovanja u 21. stoljeću.
This upgrade of in all its digital technology, it's going to be around in the American armories for many decades to come.
M1 Abrams koji je označio prekretnicu na drugome mjestu naše ljestvice. Na 10. je pobjedonosni Sherman. Na 9. Mark 1. Warrior zauzima 8. mjesto. Na 7. je sovjetski T-54-55. Britanski Centurion na 6. mjestu. 5. pripada legendarnim pancerima od 1 do 5. M113 zauzima 4. mjesto. Na 3. je strašni Tiger. M1 Abrams zaslužio 2. mjesto. Sad ćemo otkriti koji je tank na 1. mjestu. ...22. lipnja 1941. Hitler je pokrenuo operaciju Barbarossa, neočekivanu invaziju na Sovjetski savez. Führerove borbene snage činile su se nezaustavljivima. Imao je na raspolaganju 3 milijuna vojnika i više od 3000 tenkova.
The Red Army was simply not ready for an onslaught of the nature of a battle-hardened, highly experienced Wehrmacht and Waffen-SS divisions that were attacking in Operation Barbarossa.
Sovjetska crvena armija odmah se počela povlačiti, no ubrzo je uzvratila udarac, a posjedovala je Tenk na prvom mjestu naše ljestvice, T-34. Maksimalna brzina 55 km/h, težina u borbi 32 tone, osnovno naoružanje 85 mm top. Ukupan broj proizvedenih tenkova više od 80.000.
When the Germans first encountered the T-34 in the summer of 1941, they didn't know it existed, and it came as a massive shock to them.
Much better tank than any of theirs, and they hadn't expected the Soviets to be able to produce a tank of that kind of quality.
T-34 imao je savršenu kombinaciju vatrene moći, brzine i oklopa.
Whether by accident or by design, it just happened to get those three characteristics measured exactly right in a way that would allow the Russian tank soldier to take on the Germans.
Zbog jednostavnog dizajna, taj se tank mogao proizvoditi u golemim razmjerima. U jeku rata svakog se mjeseca proizvodilo 1300 tenkova T-34.
The T-34 is mass-produced, and they get it very crude, but to the point that where it's effective, it works. With the Soviet philosophy, they're looking at the tank as a breakthrough weapon to match what they call their operational art. They want thousands of tanks to progress and advance, to take it forward, and the T-34 perfectly fits that role. It's a disposable item on the battlefield. It's simple, it's reliable, it's crude, but they can make them in vast numbers.
Godine 1942. Hitler je poslao invazijske snage na Stalingrad. Kad je nastupila oštra zima, mehanizirane divizije s obje strane našle su se na najvećoj kušnji.
More German tanks suffer breakdowns and they get knocked out in action. There's very few metals, in other words surfaced roads in Russia. You've got snow, you've got ice, you've got bogs when the ice thaws, so that became a problem. The Russians had thought of this and designed very wide tracks on their tanks, famously the T-34 tank, to help spread the weight. The German tanks found that much more problematic.
Vrijeme nije bio jedini problem za Njemce. Njihovi 37 mm protutenkovski projektili odbijali su se o oklop tenka T-34. Hitlerovi su inženjeri pohitali proizvesti naprednije oružje i do bitke kod Kurska 1943. Njemačka je proizvela tenkove Panter i Tiger, koji su se mogli mjeriti sa sovjetskima. No T-34 bio je proizveden u većem broju i svladao je čak i te tehnološki nadmoćnije stroje.
It was the mainstay of the Soviet tank force, right the way through to the end of the war.
The T-34 to many people was simply the best tank produced by anybody during the Second World War.
Sovjetski T-34, koji je osigurao pobjedu nad Hitlerovim divizijama Pancera, zaslužio prvo mjesto na našoj ljestvici. 10 tenkova koji su promijenili ratovanje, 10 tenkova koji su promijenili svijet.